I never want to be on a data council. Sadly.
This is a hell of a lot of work. And it doesn't sound like a exciting work or rewarding work. And
It's not interesting. It's boring. That's the trouble. I've got another story for you. So again, naming no names. So in 2013, a major US retailer, they acquired a business in Canada and they rebranded them. They opened 124 stores in 1 year, and it was a complete disaster. They ended up closing all the stores and pulling out of Canada by January 2015, which and losing $5 billion along the way. Now, at the heart of this failure was this shiny new supply chain. Pack size data was incorrect. Lead time data was incorrect, and the result. There are other things that happened. It was an overall disaster, but at the heart of it was that shelves ended up being left empty whilst back rooms were overflowing, and then they pulled out. One of the fastest collapses in US history, apparently. And CBS wrote at the time, their grand digital rollout collapsed under the weight of bad data. Now, I thought that was a fantastic segue into a subject that we've discussed before about bad data and the impact of that on the success of digital transformation.
I think a lot of the examples you see when you implement CRM, master data management not sought after over the years. You have like companies with multiple locations not properly assigned, and so in that respect, companies are overwhelmed with the data they have to clean up over some time. I saw also a French company factored in Polish zloty because somehow it was not properly assigned. Yeah, you see that also when you go on a distributor. So we had a big program with some of the leading distributors in the world, and they have high demands on data quality. So we talk about product information management and all the different tiers. If you are not proper with what are the dimensions of my product or weight of my products, they cannot do the distribution. And we had that, where they said, okay, you get whatever 50 of those pieces on the pallet, but if there is no weight, how can processes be automated? And so in the past, it was not that important. But now, the more we go into digital, the more product quality, master data management is something which cannot be hidden anymore, or you just correct it on a piece of paper. So that's a big part of. I have not seen such a tremendous failure on lack of data. So thank God that worked quite well in the past.
I have seen many organizations that believe in the fact that a new system will fix their data, and as we say, in reality, bad data in a new system is still bad data. So that's the first statement. What have I seen in my last 15 years in B2B distribution? I have seen B2B e-commerce websites gone wrong because you have a focus on missing photos, inconsistent attributes, incomplete specs, but it's just a narrow part of the project. So the rest is not up to speed at the time of launch, and it doesn't work. I have seen ERP pretended modernization fail because of old product codes, duplicated clients, unsynchronized price list, sales teams that continue to work on Excel, parallel to ERP, blah blah blah. I have seen uh, product information management systems fail because you have no methodology in loading the photos or the digital assets. And Bern mentioned, we have the classic of the CRM, big launch and underused because we are asking the sales teams too many data that at the end is not used. So priority, once you have good data, well, bad data you clean, good data you make sure that it's used, and and you synchronize your system because changing your ERP, it is not if it's not synchronized with all of your channels and the CRM, you are obviously at the time you're going live, you're creating an instant gap in data quality.
There's one solution to that, and that's called data lake. So get all get all the data in a huge data lake, and then have some data analytics guys who actually filter the right data out. But that's only a workaround. I think everybody has to be sensibilized why data is important these days. And especially in sales, sales was always seen as an art, or you explain to your customers, and if there are some incorrect data, you just corrected them. But the more we digitize sales into self-service or CPQ or portals and so on, um, like Frank said, if you have wrong data in, you have wrong data in. So the sensibilization, why is it important, is key. And the second point, we always ask too much. I think we have to reduce what are the key data we need in there and focus on those, because quite often I have seen companies who make a huge program of cleaning data, uh, and they clean 100%, but maybe only 30% are used. And imagine those marketing or salespeople or product managers who have to suddenly make all this effort and they don't even know why. And then we come back to why transformations why transformations fail. And this is like a vicious circle in a way. But data is key.
Have you come across any particular methodologies to tackle the issue?
Well, again, sharing my experience and jumping on what Bern mentioned on the data lake. Keeping in mind the data lake is only the support. I mean, you have to have a methodology in place to ensure that you have the right information in the data lake. So what have I experienced? First of all, you have to make data a business strategy. You have to appoint data owners within commercial marketing teams, not just IT. Number one. Number two, I like the idea of what I did in one of my experience to create what I called a data council, which is a team that regularly meets, and it involves sales, marketing, IT, finance, to define shared data rules and standards, because quite often each department runs their data uh, based on their own needs or interpretation. But data has to be seen in a transversal way. Otherwise, again, you open doors and windows to data leak, within your data lake. Third, Bern mentioned the idea of running a data cleanup sprint prior to any type of project. I think that's the key. Number four, I've always made sure that the teams have some quality checks periodically. Again, wrong data does not become wrong just like that. If you have customer data, for example, like any business, your contact at the customer site can change. They leave the company, they get promoted. So you have to ensure that you have the customer data profile always clean. I think the conclusion of that is that you have to. I like the idea of treating data as an asset, and you really have to tie the data quality to the team of. To your KPIs, to your business processes, and you have to communicate the impact of the bad data, the wrong coordination of the strategy, and I think to conclude, you can just say that data is a shared responsibility. It cannot be an afterthought, or only because we are changing the CRM or the ERP, then we have to look at the data. Data has to be your living line of the business to stay healthy.
This is super interesting. And in industrial companies, the technology, the superior technology we have was always that asset. Now we add data. But on the other side, when I listen to you, Frank, this is a hell of a lot of work. And it doesn't really sound, it
Believe
it
me.
doesn't sound I
50 years
say
of
no,
work.
and it doesn't sound like a exciting work or rewarding work because this impact and
It's not interesting. It's boring. That's the trouble.
and so I come back to only one thing, and we come to the transformation piece. This is absolutely a topic of leadership and clarity why we do it. Yeah. You can motivate people and so on, but this I'm quite democratic in a lot of topics, but having a data quality like Frank decided or just described is a top-down leadership requirement. Otherwise, no digital commerce will work.
But when you talk about it, I think I never want to be on a data council, really. Sam.
I have done this. I have done this in a 13 billion company. And I had one guy who was extremely passionate about it. And he built up, Frank, exactly what you said. He built up the data governance, the council, the ownership. And goodness me, he was killed by everybody in the organization because, we laugh now. It's actually, it wasn't funny for us at the time because we knew if we wanna if our distributors, and we had distributors which to 30-40 billion of turnover, and they just simply request a certain quality of data, and it was not even recognized from product management or data coming out of PLM, then product management, the marketeers and everybody. And it is such a if my recommendation, this needs to be a top-down decision where all the functional leaders need to come together and say, this is what we want to do. We invest the time, we invest the money, and you can even reward people for doing so. You should say that's your daily job, so we shouldn't reward, but sometimes you have to move the organization along a certain
Yeah.
path. You have to lead from the front. We are coming back a little bit to our initial discussion, and you have to lead from the front and showcase that this is the most important. And again, you have to show what's in it for me, but also what is the business outcome.
If I think of one sentence to conclude on the topic, Steve, I would say that a leader does not demand clean data. They invest in the organization and the process to make the data clean. And that's really key because you really have you go back to the why, to the how, but there is a beauty in the data management. If you have the right data, you can really use it for business development. It's not something that's static or stuck in a data lake forever that does not change or does not contribute to anything. You empower a sales rep with the right data to make the right decision to manage an account. I mean that's key, and the very positive thing about it is that once they're convinced of that, they themselves will spontaneously contribute to adding quality data, and then you're on the way and it works.